I call the Honourable Member, Meka Waitiri. Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. Tēnā tātou katoanga mema o te whare nei. Mr Speaker, it's an honour to raise in the third and final reading of this significant bill. It's an honour, Mr Speaker, on a couple of fronts. It's an honour because I am the local member for Ikoro Rāwhiti, of which these people descend from. But more importantly, Mr Speaker, it's an honour for me to raise in support of this bill because I share common ancestry with my kinfolk who have joined us here in the public gallery today. My great-grand-uncle, Harvey Whaitiri, is born in the Urupā of Pietani, and I am share common ancestry with the Spuna or Puna whānau. So e te iwi, kua tai mai I tēnei wā, nau mai hara mai, hoki mai ki tō tātou whare, I runga e te kaupapa whakahirahira. Nō reira, oku rauranga tira mā, e kui mā e koroma, ngā mātua, ngā mokopona tamariki hoki, kei te mihi, kei te mihi, kei te mihi. Mr Speaker, the Maungaharuru Tangitu Hapu deed of settlement is the full and final settlement of all historical Treaty of Waitangi claims of Maungaharuru Tangitu Hapu resulting from acts of omissions or omissions by the Crown prior to 21 September 1992, and is made up of a package that includes an agreed historical account and Crown acknowledgements which form the basis for a Crown apology to Maungaharuru Tangitu Hapu. It includes cultural redress and it includes financial and commercial redress. The benefits of the settlement, Mr Speaker, will be available to all members of Maungaharuru Tangitu Hapu wherever they may live. Mr Speaker, all treaty claims are unique and there's no difference to this particular claim. And I want to acknowledge the envy that I share with the people of Maungaharuru Tangitu in terms of their takiwa and what they stand for. Mr Speaker, and to members of the House and to people that are listening, if you ever get the opportunity, you see amongst us a proud people who enjoyed, prior to the wars of the past and the confiscation of land that occurred, the absolute subsistency of a beautiful forest out of Maungaharuru and all of the bounties of the coastline. And so Maungaharuru Tangitu ki te tai, Maungaharuru Tangitu ki te uta, I mihi to you all in your tenacious and commitment to getting to today's final reading of your important bill. Mr Speaker, the Honourable Peter Sharpo has amply described the history and the mamai suffered by these people. And like I said, every settlement is unique. And when I look over the settlement of Maungaharuru Tangitu, I want to touch on two particular areas that for me is unique to this settlement. And I did mention it in my second speech when this bill came through the House, and unfortunately we had bad weather and so we couldn't get the whānau here, but I know that you were all here in spirit as we spoke of that. And that unique point of difference for me in this settlement, Mr Speaker, is the speed. Is the speed in which the claims were actually settled, and the speed that I acknowledged in my second speech was on looking at it 3 years and 7 months. And some people will say that may be too fast, or others may say, "Oh, that was really efficient." But I do want to acknowledge your negotiators. I do want to acknowledge that without the people of Maungaharuru Tangitu getting behind the process, I don't think you would have met those timelines. And I know Tania Hoffman, and I mihi to Tania and Uncle Bevan and the others involved in the whole negotiation process. The swiftness in which you not only presented the claims, but the way you shepherded your whānau, the Hapu, to actually get to this point. And like I said, Mr. Speaker, the deed of mandate, just for the record, was signed on 20th October 2009. The agreement in principle was signed on the 22nd of September 2011. The deed of settlement was signed on the 22nd of March 2013, and it was ratified by the whānau on the 25th of May 2013. So, Mr. Speaker, from woe to go, I mentioned that the significant difference that stood out for me in this settlement was the speed. And 3 years and 7 months is pretty tough going. As a former treaty negotiator, I can say that needs to be acknowledged, and underlying that is the work that went on behind the scenes. And also being a mandated negotiator, the pressures on the whānau to move that swiftly can't be underestimated. So I'm labouring on this point, but I'm doing it in acknowledgement that you would have only got to this point if we didn't have the buy-in and commitment of the Haukainga. So again, I mihi to you all for that. Mr. Speaker, the second significant part that jumps out of me in this settlement is the strong emphasis Maungaharuru Tangitu Hapu have placed on the cultural redress of this bill. And I acknowledge the many reserves, the lake beds, the coastline, that they have fought, obviously, to return some sort of control back to ngā hapu of Maungaharuru Tangitu, and without dwarfing the financial redress, it speaks volumes of the importance of those cultural redress sites, those sites of significance have to a people that were left, I guess, desolate in terms of the land that they lost. So again, that was clearly a strategy and a commitment from ngā hapu of Maungaharuru Tangitu to ensure that our lands, our waterways, our coastline has returned back into the mana where it rightfully sits. So I want to acknowledge that, Mr. Speaker, as a significant component of this settlement. Mr. Speaker, I also want to quickly turn to the select committee process. I too want to acknowledge our chairman, the Honourable Tau Hinari, and I'm not going to say farewell, that will come in due course. But for the hearing that we had in Napier, which many of our whānau attended, that was ably chaired by Tūroro Flavel, because Tau likes to keep us moving in the Māori Select Committee, so we had half up in Auckland on that day and the other half came to Napier. So I do want to mihi out to those that attended that hearing. And the issue that came up, which was addressed at the Select Committee hearing, was Hapu feeling not included, and also the cross-boundary issues between Maungaharuru Tangitu and Ngāti Pāhuera. But I can say the work of the Select Committee were pleased that no one was going to miss out. No one was going to miss out. And that came clear in both the submissions that came to the submission response on behalf of Maungaharuru Tangitu, that those whānau who are our whānau who felt they weren't being included would be. And so the Select Committee process was fairly straightforward and robust, and we're very happy to support this bill in getting to where we are today. Mr. Speaker, as I close, it's important that I acknowledge people who have shepherded this bill to the House today. I do want to pay tribute to our kaumatus first and foremost, those that are here and those that aren't here, for your wisdom, your guidance, your patience in getting us over the line. To the negotiators, the settlement claim members, I mihi to you all. To ngā hapu for your involvement and ratification, and the Honourable Peter Sharples mentioned the Hapu, and also to the Honourable Chris Finlinson, OTS and government officials, for his support in making sure that we get here today. I mihi to you, Mr Finlinson. And finally, to members of our Select Committee who did a job expected of us to ensure that when this bill gets to this House, that we have dotted every I's and crossed every T's, and I can say without a doubt that that was done, ensuring that our part in this process was completed to the satisfaction of this House. So, Mr Speaker, I join with all members in this House in celebrating with ngā hapu of Maungaharuru Tangitu, and celebrating this full and final reading of this bill, and I commend it to the House. Kia ora tātou.
Mr Speaker.
I call the Honourable Minister Chris Finlinson.